Hello everybody, this is Fernando for Godzilla Movie News. For this movie, I'd like to talk about the status of the 1984/1985 Godzilla movie and to see what's going on with it. Why hasn't it been released on any kind of DVD or Blu-Ray formats? It seems to be one of the few Godzilla movies within the franchise that has been stuck in VHS land, and I've been doing a little bit of research on the site to see why this is, and this is what I come up with. Essentially, it comes down to three things. Number one is licensing rights. Number two has to do with fixed costs. And number three has to do with the demand. So, with the first thing regarding licensing rights, this is the most complicated part because this movie has been bandied around between so many different companies. I sometimes wonder if truly the last company that owns the rights even knows if they do or not. And this is what I mean. When Godzilla 1985 was first released here in the U.S., New World Pictures, which is now a defunct company, obtained those rights to release it in theaters. And they did it. Anybody who's seen the familiar logo of that red-looking world with the black and red stripes, coming across the screen, that's them. And what happened was, the movie came, it was released. However, somewhere along that time period, New World Pictures sold the VHS rights to a different company called Anchor Bay. Why this happened, I don't know. New World Pictures was still operating well into the 90s, so it's not like they went bankrupt or anything. But somewhere along the way, they sold the VHS rights of Godzilla to a different company called Anchor Bay. And anybody who has the VHS copy of Godzilla, like I do, for example, knows that this is so because you can see the familiar-looking Anchor Bay logo on the side of the VHS. On a side note, Anchor Bay is well known for making really cheap VHS copies too. They make everything under the EP mode on VHS, which is the least quality of production because it uses the least amount of tape, so you get the worst video and sound transfer over. So it's unfortunate that this Godzilla movie was faced with that. But Anchor Bay, during that time period of the 80s, mid-90s, they just released the Godzilla movie once on VHS, but then nothing else thereafterward. And then somewhere along the way, Anchor Bay, which is part of Starz, the company, very large company that houses like thousands of movies that they stream on Netflix or are going to stop because they sold another deal. Somewhere along the way, Anchor Bay sold their VHS rights to yet another company called Lakeshore Entertainment. And this is an independent production movie company that makes some movies that we've heard of, like they've done $1 Million Baby, they've done The Exorcism of Emily Rose, Autumn in New York, and so forth. But this is where it stops. Lakeshore Entertainment Group has the rights, but they haven't done anything with it. And this is the confusing part, because why would somebody work towards obtaining those rights and paying a fee for it if they're just going to hold on to it and do nothing? Nobody's going to make any money that way. But this actually leads to the second reason why we haven't seen any kind of DVD or Blu-ray, and that's the fixed costs. Apparently Toho is still pretty stingy when it comes to their licensing rights. Lakeshore Entertainment owns the rights right now, but if they're actually going to produce the movie, they got to pay an additional fee to Toho, and Toho is still pretty expensive when it comes to releasing the okay to go ahead and create a DVD or Blu-ray. There's other fixed costs, of course, like the actual production of the DVD and Blu-ray, the marketing, all the royalties associated with the actors, the writers, the director, the producer, even the people that dubbed the movie here in the US, they get a cut of the action too. So there's all those fixed and variable costs that come into play that is too much money. And this may be why Lakeshore Entertainment Group is not going forward with anything. Probably the biggest reason being Toho is too expensive, which is a shame because Toho is well known for doing that. They price themselves out of any kind of projects because they want too much money. But I've heard though that Toho is being more lenient on these things because, like for example with IDW and their new Godzilla comic book series, they have the monsters, all of the monsters familiar with Toho, which tells me that the company, Toho Studios themselves, is being more flexible, that they're allowing either cheaper prices or a group discount when it comes to getting all these things. So But in any case, this leads to the third thing, and that's product demand. I mean, I want to see the movie. I'm sure a lot of other people want to see the movie on DVD. But the problem is also that there may not be enough people to want to see this on DVD and buy it on DVD and Blu-ray to make up for the fixed costs. And if that happens, then nobody's going to do anything because there's going to be no profit. And so those are the three items that I was able to come up with based on my research. The most complicated part is actually the licensing. I mean, again, Lakeshore Entertainment holds the rights, but at the same time, they bought it from two other companies who are all essentially on loan, or are borrowing this on loan from Toho Studios. So all those rights have to be cleared before anything even goes forward. Still, something can still be done, because I think the best shot that a Godzilla 1985 movie has coming to Blu-ray DVD has to do with promotions. When this new Godzilla movie comes out from Gareth Edwards and Legendary Pictures, there's going to be, of course, a big buzz around Godzilla again, and whenever that happens, there's usually a whole assortment of releases leading up to the Godzilla movie. So it happened the same way with the Godzilla 1998 film. When that was released, we had Godzilla novels, we had Godzilla toys, we had Godzilla DVDs of past movies, Godzilla soundtracks, Godzilla video games. All those came out in consortium with the Godzilla release of the new franchise movie. And I think the same thing is going to happen here. Once this new Gareth Edwards movie comes out, we're going to have a good number of buzz products coming out for Godzilla, and if we keep our fingers crossed, one of them will involve the Godzilla 1985 film. Here's a solution, though, that I present when it comes to getting this film produced. Obviously, it's out there already on an international level. Other places have them because other countries have production companies that have specific licenses already done for the DVD, just not here in the US. But a way around this is to follow the example that other companies are doing, especially those that are partnering with Apple. They don't create the actual DVD or Blu-rays anymore. Like, they don't actually create the discs. Instead, they allow people to download them from a website, in this case Apple, because Apple is a great way to reach a whole set of people, hundreds of millions of people all at once. And that allows anybody who's interested in doing this to know there's going to be a good profit involved. Another way is to have, Toho Studios partner up with companies that produce DVDs and Blu-rays on a individual basis. What I mean is, like, anybody who knows what Adult Swim is, that channel that shows all those funny cartoons late at night, they produce their own DVDs on the side. They don't produce them in mass. Instead, they produce them based on customer order. And I believe that if they follow that same scenario, Toho Studios will be able to create now all of their DVDs in a method that allows people to pick and choose what works best for them. The problem, though, with that is Toho Studios has licensed their movies up the wazoo for all other sorts of companies out there. I mean, if you can go right now to Wikipedia and look up the Godzilla series page, and you'll see how there's probably like 5 or 6 different companies that Toho Studios has licensed their movies towards. I mean, they've licensed them to a movie called production called Good Times, another movie company called Classic Media, Lakeshore Entertainment, Miramax, Sony, ADV. I mean, these, and Universal. All these movies companies have been licensed to produce the Godzilla franchise on an individual basis on their movies. And, unfortunately, Toho Studios made things so complicated, they now have no choice but to follow who owns the licensing rights for the production movies instead of them creating their own movies. But that's, just my solutions on the matter. So in any case, that's the status of the DVD. It's stuck right now with one company, Lakeshore Entertainment, and until they decide to move forward and decide that, there's going to be enough demand out there to produce this and cover the costs, then they'll be able to, get this movie out there for everybody to see. On a little side note, something did work, because a few years back there was a monster movie channel of sorts that broadcasted the Godzilla 1985 movie, and what they did is they created and broadcasted the movie in digital. And in order to do this, they actually the people that gained that temporary license to broadcast the movie on the channel, they were able to clean up the movie, correct certain colors, make sure the sound is up to par, like in terms of digital sound 5.1. They did all of this just for the actual one-time viewing of this movie on this channel. That tells me if they can do that just for this one-time viewing on the actual TV channel, imagine if they can do this now for a DVD or Blu-ray release. So we're pretty close to it, and I'm hoping again that when the Godzilla movie comes out from Gareth Edwards, that there's enough buzz that we have finally this movie out on DVD and Blu-ray. So in any case, that's all the info I have. Thank you very much, everybody.